get started with our crisis simulation. Thank you, Josh. We'll help with that. We'll go ahead and begin. If you're actively working on something, then don't let me interrupt you. This is just one of the breakout sessions for the RowdyHacks. This is UTSA CyManii Cyber Range. My name is Vincent Rendon. I'm an employee of UTSA CyManii, one of the OT, which is Operational Technology, one of the OT cyber instructors here at UTSA. This is the Cyber Range, as you guys might know or might not know. We offer different kinds of solutions and training here at the range. It's a virtual environment that we have. And for UTSA students, we have 3 different levels that I'll go over real quick with you, but all 3 levels are free for UTSA students. If you're not UTSA students, we can figure out some negotiation and figure out that other stuff. But basically what we have are spotlights. Those are the introductory free classes that are for anybody, UTSA or non-UTSA. This cyber range and training is also for small to medium businesses and things. So that's why I'm referencing non-UTSA students, but more likely all UTSA students here. So we've got 3 levels. The first level is spotlights. That is an on-demand asynchronous training that you can take both here and at home. Level 2 are the labs. The labs are interactive where they'll give you an exercise to complete. You'll fire it up in a virtual machine. It's in a web browser. And come on in, take a seat, any seat. Or you can bring something out there if you need to. So the level 2 classes are labs, I should say. And again, free for UTSA students. And they've got different kinds of content from basic to intermediate to advanced type of classes. Labs, live interactive labs. So the QR code that's on the sign by the door and that is around here, this is kind of the introductory. You guys can scan it now or later. But this kind of opens a door to sending you a form. You fill out the form and you select one of the 9 kind of introductory classes of training. Some of it is CompTIA, so like Security Plus, Network Plus. It's got that content and training straight from CompTIA. So it's in alignment with the actual certification course content that you would need. We would say, please supplement it with some other training. Don't just try to take the test right after you do the class. You probably want some more on top of that. So there's level 1, the introductory, level 2, the labs, and the level 3, this is the live fire actual thing. This is where, this is what's unique to our cyber range. You have to schedule it on the back end because it's not a cookie cutter type of simulation. It's a live event, meaning there's actual VMs that are fired up outside of this location. You've got active real-time logs and you've got active real-time exploits going on in the background. So you being the SOC team member, red team, blue team, you get to begin to kind of look to see what those things are and how they work. So come on in, take a seat, or all the seats you can try to bring some from in there, or just or Josh is telling you how it's streaming as well. So if you guys just want to jump on. So the live fire exercises are really cool. We ask you guys to get in groups 3 or 4 to come in for that. And the level 2 labs and the level 3 labs, we ask that you guys come into the cyber range and do those here. Because there's sometimes some content, some hiccups that you can run into. And we want to be able to kind of guide you and give you some direction. And you can, we've got cyber range interns that are here Monday through Friday, so they can also give you a hand if you run into something. And you might need a little bit of an insight on what's going on. The way the cyber range is actually built, it's got like hints and it's got other things. So like if you kind of get stuck, you're kind of like, what do I do next? There's little hints and there's little storyline things that can kind of help get you to that next kind of milestone. So what we're going to do here today is a live fire exercise. This is a Windows Trojan. It's a real-time exploit. It's a runtime exploit on a Windows box. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you a quick lay of the land of what it looks like on the backside. So you're gonna see some of the platform, you'll see some of the tools and things. And then beyond that, we're going to get into the actual crisis event. And I'll ask a volunteer that would like to drive. We've got a wireless keyboard and mouse, so I can bring it to you and we'll have someone actually drive the deal. So thank you guys again for coming. I appreciate your time, and I'll be mindful of the time here today so we can kind of walk through this thing. So let me come around so I can see what I'm doing here. Oh, y'all having a good time here at RowdyHacks today? Yeah? It's going good? Good. Fun stuff. I've heard a lot of good comments, a lot of good activity, a lot of good ahas, a lot of good I didn't know that, a lot of I don't know how to do that. Can you show me how to do that? So that's good. That's kind of what that's what in essence really is going to build a good cyber team, right? When we talk about you've got different characteristics of different team members, right? Some are going to be the highly intelligent, super brainy. It's not me, but you've got those on your team. You've got to also have some communication skills. You got to be able to translate the technical to the non-technical, right? So also as we go through this, another part of it is I'm going to kind of make it like a real world scenario, like you're in an enterprise environment. You've got real world users, you've got leadership and management knocking on your door. So I'll kind of pick and probe, but back to my point. So that's that's really good about these events is that it teaches teamwork, some team building. And that's not always easy, right? Especially when you get together some cyber professionals and there's all kinds of characteristics and personalities, and you got to learn how to navigate through that, right? And that's also a part of the exercise. So you guys are doing great. Don't forget that. So, all right, let's go ahead and fire up the web platform here. All right, guys. So this is our virtual environment. This is one of the workstations on our platform. This is not the infected workstation, by the way. Just to kind of show you the lay of the land, we have the platform where it's going to kind of step you through. What is this unit? What is this live fire attack? So this is one of the Windows environments, as I mentioned. It's a malware abusing screen capture exploit. So in this scenario, it's going to say you're going to operate as a SOC team member. You're going to investigate a Windows machine. It's got some technical background, and I'm showing you this because, again, if you sign up for our level 2 or you do take our level 3 cyber events, crisis simulation on the range, I'm just kind of showing you, it's got some actual links, some knowledge-based links that you can click on and kind of get a little bit more familiarity for what this type of exploit is and how it's used and how others are using it. So, anyhow, what we'll do is we click on Start Mission, we open the simulated session, and then we'll look at the infected RDP. So there's also a part of the live fire exercise where you've got points. And this is also where you can compete against others based on how well you're doing, and much like with the RowdyHacks exercise that you guys are doing this weekend, once you have findings and once you have some observational facts, then you go and you kind of plug that stuff into like a repository. So one of the repositories here is I'll show you on the next screen is where you're going to begin kind of tracking, kind of like in a digital forensics way, how you've got your log of information that you found. What we're going to show you next is kind of like the network map. There's nothing too fancy on this one. I kind of kept it simple on purpose. I don't know if you guys' brains are melted from the RowdyHacks event yet or not, so I thought maybe just kind of skim the surface and let's just kind of have a good baseline kind of example here. So So, we've got our firewall, we've got our VPN segment. You don't have to memorize any of this, I'm just showing you training management down here. We have our user segment, this is our Windows box with our IP schema. You've also got like a network info button. There's gonna, on other labs and on other live fire exercises, you'll have SIMs and you'll have Palo Alto and you'll have all the other real world cyber tools that you would be using, Metasploit and other MITRE software utilities. So you'll have a much more populated list of information on all those other exercises. For this one, it's giving you the one box, it's giving you the credentials and things. So when you hover over them, you get the little copy icon, so you can do that there. Let's see here. Now you click on Start the Mission, and get started. So this is where I mentioned you'll document your findings. This is where it's going to, allow you to put the information that you've analyzed and you've kind of gathered from the infected machine. So that's kind of the lay of the land here. Back to the actual workstation that's on the network. From here, we need to RDP into the infected machine. I believe this wireless mouse and keyboard kind of work in like this space here. Does anyone in this space isn't interested in driving? We have a volunteer.
Oh.
Anybody? Yeah?
Yep.
Cool, awesome. All right. And I'll kind of walk you through what we're doing. You might wanna, well, if you want to sit up here, you can. Because the screen is the same thing there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay. Well, however you want to do it. Don't let me say. Should we get there?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to bring up, and I don't want to give the scenario away too much. That's why I'm trying to give you some bits and pieces of what we're about to look at, and I kind of want you to be able to make your own, best guess on what we're about to do next. And I want you guys to think critically about what's going on, what we should think about, or what we should be concerned about. And I'm also the type of instructor. Please just raise your hand. You don't have to wait for me to pause. Let's keep it kind of free and open and interactive. So, anyhow. So from this machine, we're going to open up our RDP. We're going to remote desktop into a machine. Are you familiar with that? Cool. So from there, now the machine that we're going to RDP into, it's in our credential log. If you want to, you can either click on the network info button at the top, or you can go to the other tab. So the toolbar across the top of the screen right there.
Okay.
Cool. So that is the credentials of our machine. So let's connect by IP. And you can shrink that back. Cool. Nobody's saying anything. Not yet, at least. You're good. Now, really, some of the knowledge components of this scenario is going to be around like Windows logs, PowerShell scripts, and networking. Can you look with that?
No.
Okay. And I have a feeling you might need to change the hit cancel. I think we need to change the yeah. Connect and then more choices. There we go. Connect now. And then we're gonna pound. I believe it's /administrator. Or just try the admin. Let's see if it just takes it. ADMINIS 281. Has anybody in the room have worked in an IT environment? Do you get tickets? Do you get users? Right. Okay. So this is very much a scenario where, hey, you got a user that called in, or you've got a ticket, and this is a good one, right? Because the ticket, or the user, they're saying, my computer's flickering. That's always a good one, right? Like, what do you mean flickering? Like, can you please describe it a little bit more? How do you mean flicker, right? So, what we're about to see once we get into this machine is you're going to see an event. This is the infected machine. That one doesn't. You can click yes.
Yes.
That's fine, yes. So now is going to begin the analysis and the observation piece. So I'll give a quick spoiler alert. Something's going to happen in 60 seconds. Excuse me. So I'm going to kind of fill in the space real quick. So this is where the user's got something going on the machine. They can't necessarily describe it, but you're the one that's supposed to understand what they're trying to tell you and say, oh, right, I know what you're talking about. Let me go in and fix it. So
There you go.
good. So, excuse me, something just flashed up on the screen. Now, what are the first ideas? I heard you mummer PowerShell. So, what? Any other ideas or suggestions? Have you got something that's flashing on the? It'll keep doing it here in a little bit. So, any other ideas? Sir.
They're running commands on PowerShell.
Okay. Good. Something's happening there. So, running commands on PowerShell. The fun part is, how do you explain that to a user, right? Is it a command?
So somebody's running something on a computer remotely, so remote access.
Perfect. Okay, good. So there is something that's running. The idea is maybe it's a remote access into the machine. We don't know that yet. We're just kind of speculating. Like I said, I'm just beginning to get like your creative juices thinking of what that could be. So if you see that happening, what would be your first instinct to do?
Go to digital chats.
And when you see that, now when that user tells you my screen's flickering, now you have a more clear idea, right? Like, oh, right, because every screen flickers if we really want to get down into the technical, right? But that's not what we're doing here. So, okay, what would be the first thing?
I would go to schedule tasks or tasks.
Okay, is everyone familiar with scheduled tasks on Windows? Yay, nay, kinda. Cool. All right, well let's take a look. And this is kind of where the analysis begins.
There you go.
Then you could, let's just single left click on the Word task of the library first. The one right below.
Oh, here.
I know, it's kind of close.
It's okay.
So, task scheduler, Windows task scheduler. So when I went over this with the Cyber Jedi group last week actually, some of the people in the audience were like, I don't even know there was a task scheduler. What is that even looking like? So basically there's a very rudimentary, basic, fundamental utility of Windows back in the day that they would use for database updates. Even, I'm dating myself, I remember when antivirus programs, when you would install something, it would also create an auto task scheduler event. So like the definitions, the AV definitions and database could get updated on a regular sequence, right? So that's all this is. It's just a basic Windows utility. You can find it under any Windows machine. Again, we're not talking high level. We're not quantum theory. Again, it's just very simplistic. So now that we're looking at the Windows task scheduler, is there anything that stands out to anybody? Or do you want to tell the driver, hey, go look at something, or? Sorry.
There's two Google updates.
Say again?
There's two processes for Google updates.
There's two processes.
One of them's running.
Two processes, one of them's running.
Oh,
Let's expand that.
It's running. It's the second one you use.
You can expand that column if you like, so that you can read the name. It's moving status, there's like that little line.
Oh,
Yeah. You're doing good, you're doing fine. So, okay, so now that we're looking at the Windows Task Scheduler, did anything stand out? Where do y'all want to drill down next?
PowerShell update.
PowerShell Updater. Let's drill down into that. What do you want to look at inside of the PowerShell Updater?
Look at that.
Actions, that's a good. Triggers, let's look at the triggers. Okay, like I said, I was kind of spoiler alert, I told you every 60 seconds, right? So now you're tracking, now you're putting pieces of facts together, and it's kind of making sense. Go ahead and open up that, can you open up the details of that?
Yeah.
Properties, it's fine, or at least stretch the column.
Oh, here.
So you can really see better. Okay. Is that kind of small? Can everybody see that on the screen? Maybe not the very back, but I don't think we can zoom in. Can we zoom in? Let me see. You know. All right, so the command code that we're looking at that's inside of this task scheduler is PowerShell, so a couple of you guys were right. It begins with Windows style, the attribute is hidden. It goes on to talk about execution policy bypass, and now it's got a file path. File path of users, administrator, app data, local, temp. File name is updater.ps1. What do you want to do next? Sure, go for it. Tell the user, go home for the day. You can clock out. We got a lot of work on our hands. I don't know. We gotta figure this one out. We're gonna open up File Explorer. We're gonna go see if we can track down that path. See local users, I believe. Third to the bottom.
Up here.
Or that one. Yep.
I'll take it.
Aha. So hidden items, right? I'm talking to a room full of people that know about hidden items, right? Microsoft Windows, it hides system files and things. So in order to get to follow that path, you got to turn on hidden files. So now you can follow it. Users, administrator, app data. I think it was a different path. Try to shrink it or move it so you can see both on the screen at the same time. Is it still jittery for you?
Here you go. Users,
There you go.
administrator,
Got it.
and app data,
There you go.
spin it, and then we're gonna go to
Local. Tip.
administrator.
And the file we're looking for is updater.ps1.
Do we open that?
Let's go ahead and single right click on it. Single left click on it first.
Okay.
Now let's single right click on it. And let's do edit third to the top. Alright, now we're getting to the next level of kind of, again, identifying and trying to understand what are we working with. So, for all my PowerShell experts in the room, which I'm not one, so anyhow, let's maximize this window so we can see all this.
Okay.
I don't even know if we can.
I guess I can.
Let me see if I can make this font a little bit. Yeah, you can do that down. Alright, is there anything, and scroll to the top. Okay, so tell me guys, what stands out? What catches your eye?
The outpath, the file name pattern. Yeah.
What line are you reading? So I'm tracking. Right there, okay, line 7. So line 7 is identified that there's an outpath. Uh-oh.
Control Z maybe?
Yeah, just control Z. Yeah.
There.
Cool. Okay, so line 7 has an out path that has an IP address. So let me close it real quick. Let me reopen it. I think you got a little.
Workshop issue.
It's in the tab.
You know where my group
Damn.
The Lego sets. The Jurassic Park. Okay.
Okay, so line 7, out path, right? Anything else that stands out to you guys?
A screenshot, it's taking a screenshot of it.
Line 9, okay, line 9. Yeah, see the line. So line 9, yeah, so it's actually has the command line, the command function of screenshot, and it's got some parameters, some syntax, the formatting of what that file is going to look like. Anything else stand out?
Maybe the repeat times.
So there's repeat times, right? So you also have that information. So it feels like we're on the right path, right? It feels like we've now seen this flicker. We've now identified it's a scheduled task. We've now tracked down the file that it's actually running. Go ahead.
Saving it to the app.
Maybe the last one takes a screenshot.
Okay, good. So the other things that I want to kind of showcase to you real quick are. Where we go? So, outpath. I thought there was more to it, but okay, yeah, fair enough. So basically, what's going on when you look at this PowerShell script? Tell me what is your interpretation of what's happening here? Go ahead.
That's every couple seconds, like take a screenshot of the desktop. Just in case like we put like information or something.
That's correct. That's correct. So the comment was every few seconds a screenshot is being taken. After that screenshot is taken,
Actually, I think
what's happening?
It's sending it to IP address.
It's sending it to an external IP address, right? So this is where something is, capturing credentials or whatever's going on in the workstation, right? We're not talking high level. We're not talking AI level complication, right? We're just talking about utilizing some basic Windows things. It's in a PowerShell script file. It's launching, and that's what you're seeing. And again, it's not that loud of an event, right? It's just a command line window that's popping up on your machine. That could be, something that's a cause of concern or something that users might shrug and say, well, maybe it's updating something on the backside, right? Which is a terrible idea. That's why you always want to report this thing. So, all right, so good. So now that we've got that, now we want to go, what do you think is the next step that we need to do as far as the investigation of this and the next step that we need to do for tracking this stuff down?
Do you want to delete the process?
in their upstairs.
So that's good. So let's go see, let's look at the task scheduler. Let's see what we can do as far as turning that off. Let's just start there. All right, let's see if we can delete it. Okay, let's refresh it and see, did it delete? I think it's gone, yeah, I think we deleted it. All right, so now, so good, so at least we've stopped that. So we know there's no credentials that are going out the door. But what's the next thought? logically, what, go ahead, yes,
We can delete the file.
say again?
We can delete the file.
We can go and delete the PowerShell script, that's right, you're welcome to walk through that. By the way, we are doing the best that we can. If that mouse is very stodgy, and I guess I need to get a new battery for it. Anyhow, but let's take a 30,000 foot view. Let's pull back. What are we missing here? So we found that it's doing that, but
Maybe the origin of the PowerShell code.
okay, origin. That's good. I think we're getting warm. Yes, sir.
Disable the connection or block the IP address.
We can disable the connection, block the IP address. Absolutely, that's some preventative mitigation. Yep. Any other ideas? Sir?
Figure out why that wasn't blocked initially by a whitelist or something.
That's good, yeah, absolutely, yeah. You want to begin looking to see how did that even get through the firewalls? Do we have logs on it that's going to, sir?
I think we need to figure out where it came from, how it got on the system.
Bingo. So the question would be, how do we find the source, right? We need to find the source of this attack. So what do you guys think as far as, again, very basic, we're not going to, SIMs or anything else, but what would you guys think as far as, you don't get to answer? Yes, sir, go ahead.
Email.
Email? Email's good. We're not gonna do that in this scenario, but that's a good idea. Where else would you go looking for?
I guess maybe a malicious website.
Malicious website, so what would that be, like web history maybe?
Maybe one that like injects code into your computer.
Absolutely, there are those as well.
Can you find out when the schedule was created?
There you go. How do we find out when the schedule is created?
Right click?
Ma'am?
Right click?
Right
Well, it's
click?
gone now.
Oh, as far as looking to see, yeah, exactly. That. So that what you're saying is there probably was some details under the properties
Oh, yeah.
of that task that we just deleted. It's all good. It's fine. There's other ways. Yes.
That viewer.
Event viewer. There we go. Bingo. Everyone familiar with event viewer?
Yes.
It's such a fun thing to dive into, right? No, it's very boring and mundane. So let's go check out task viewer. Event viewer, sorry.
Event viewer.
Yes. Don't worry about that. So where are my event viewer heads in the audience? Where would you begin? Oh yeah, okay, good.
Kind of.
Where would you begin? What would you, as this
Windows
utility
logs.
comes up? Windows logs, there you go. Where next? System, that's a good place.
Search for IP.
Search for the IP. That's a good idea. I don't know if there was show there. Because again, we're trying to find the source of the attack.
In the security logs for the IP?
Go for it. Give it a shot.
What?
Security logs, I said, and they do a search for the IP. Maybe a filter on the far right, maybe. Or a find. 6,
Oh, here.
8 from the top. Cool, 9203. Cool, I remembered it. So we identified what was going on, we tracked down the scheduled task, we tracked down that it was a PowerShell script. Now we're trying to look at what was the source of the attack. We're working through this very good. I'm not sure why you guys spin your thing there. But while that's going on, so another utility like I mentioned now, we're documenting our findings and we're trying to create that forensic log. So on the CyberBit tab at the top left, yeah. Alright, let's go ahead and click on add new finding, the red box in the middle. Alright, what did we find?
Oh, yeah.
There we go. What was the name of it? Do you remember? Okay, I'll tell you.
Something.ps1.
It was something, updater.ps1. T-E-R. U-P-D-A-T-E. Why is it doing that?
I don't know.
It really doesn't like it. Here, let me see. Let me see what's it.
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
Pause.
Right, exactly. And what was the full path? Like I said, if that's the screen. What's on that? What's that? So the thoughts were, could it be from a website that maybe injected something? So the thought was maybe to go look in the web history, right? Email was the other good thought, which is really, I think 90% of the things today, yes.
If they downloaded like a malicious file, if they downloaded it.
If they downloaded it, right, so that would be, where would you go looking for the downloads?
In downloads, yeah.
Downloads, I'm sorry, there you go.
Sorry.
That's right, in the Windows Explorer, there's a folder named downloads, that's right.
Compromised flash drive.
Compromise what?
Compromised flash drive.
A compromised flash drive, absolutely. Absolutely, so what we're gonna do is once the event viewer finishes, we're gonna go look to see where the attack came from, and that's gonna give us a little bit more information. It's allowing you to type it.
I know, right?
Cool. All right, now you're gonna check me at the bottom right. User administrator.
Editor's blank. Case alerts. Plus.
Oh, administrator. A-D-M-I-N-I-S. After the A-D-M-I-N. No, go back. A-D-M-I-N-I-S.
IS.
Uh-huh. Aha.
There you go.
There we go. All right. Cool. So anyhow, click on the green submit at the bottom. So now, ultimately, that's kind of what we've got now. We've got 20 points for that. So we've got 20 points for that. And there's a couple other things that you would keep adding, keep finding, but let's keep moving on. So the file, the event viewer, did we crash it? Yeah, let's kill it. Let's go see if we can open up a different idea. Go ahead.
So what's the audit failure?
So the audit failure. Where would we look in the event viewer to see if it was an outside source, like an external drive, so to speak? Anyone be familiar with that? Do you know where you would look at in the event viewer for that? Or the syntax of what to search for, filter for?
Event
So what we want to look at is, let's do task category.
That's good. Oh, it's right there.
Yeah, filter. Yeah, let's do filter current. Let's do The category here? Okay, well, we gotta choose one, critical warning, error, those check boxes at the top. Error information. And then event sources. Just all. That's good. Event IDs, should we put them in? The event ID, let's type it in. What you're looking for is a 4688. So it came up before, the question was, how can we find when that process was created? Right, so again, you gotta think outside the box, and I'm sure you could probably just go to a Google search and say, what is the event ID for process creation, right? And then it'll give you that code. I'm saving you the time, we're not gonna go look it up. That's what 4688 is, so let's go ahead and just hit okay on that. So now we're looking at all the events. The category is process creation, and we're trying to identify when was this process created. Because what we want to do is we want to look to see what that process name was that created the event. So I would say on the general tab. Yeah, I would say on the general tab under the details.
Okay.
And I would look at, let's search, scroll down. Let's see how, I'm sorry, in the body of the audit successes, let's keep, when did it begin maybe? Let's scroll all the way to the bottom.
Like the bottom. Oh, okay, I get
The
it.
bottom of, but we want to look to see when was the first one created. So we're gonna look for one that was so a new process created, right? Creator subject. Let's click on the down arrow in that little box. Yes, right there. So keep going. Keep going. There we go. With a new process name, what we're looking for is it's going to actually point to a device. And that's not the audit success log that we're looking for. So let's go see if we can find another one that's going to give us a process name. So this can be where it gets a little tedious. This can be right where it's the time for lunch. Maybe we'll check out, like, let's kind of decompress. Let's stop thinking about it. Let me come back and let me kind of like work through it again. What am I missing? You know, obviously we found the event, we found the infection. We're just trying to find how did it get in the machine. And based on the utilities that we have to work with, right? Because that's always your limitation. What do you have to work with? We're looking to find out when was that event created. So, if you can't find the event that was created, what else would you do to kind of start poking around and probing? Because the information is in here, usually it always is, but it's such a mountain of information, right? Google what?
There's how to filter for
That's good. Google how to filter for USBs on the event viewer. Absolutely. That's kind of exactly where the space that we need to be in. I don't necessarily know how to tell you to get to that process ID. Hold on, we have one more question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Could you just go to the .ps1 file and then look at the details of that and it would tell you when that was created?
When it went? Let's go take a look. Let's go take a look at the PS1 file. And yeah. Does anything stand out there as far as where it came from?
I'm in File Explorer. You just looked at the file details.
Oh, so he's talking about if you go to Windows Explorer. Right, it's open right there. You're talking about the PS1 file. We did the PS1 too? Oh, okay. Okay, so the PS1 file we've blown up. So again, great forensic work, right? Like, we shouldn't have done that. But again, that's how you learn. I mean, it's not, it's terrible, but, so, I'll spoil alert, I'll give you the path. So what was happening on this event is it was from a device. Maximize the Windows Explorer for me for a second. Is there anything on the far left panel that stands out to you? Right, because we thought maybe was it a USB drive, we thought, right? So if we're looking at that left panel, what stands out? That stands out to me. So in here, there's the Office install file, the application file. That's the culprit. That's somebody installed, somebody put a CD in, or again, it could have been a thumb drive, whatever. And as soon as they put it into the Windows machine, what happened? Somebody exploited it. Could have been a rubber ducky, absolutely. But what does Windows do when it's given a thumb drive or a CD and it's got auto run? It just runs, right? Thank you for Windows. That was a convenient thing, but obviously it's now bit us in the butt. So what happened is someone put the CD in and it was an infected CD. Once that auto run hit, it was malicious. It then began the cascade of things where the malware was installed. The malware was installed, the task scheduler event got created, and now you've got the command line window flashing every 60 seconds. So that's the scope of the event. That's what this live fire environment was. But what am I missing in that space?
We still don't know who did it.
Say again?
We still don't know who did it.
We still don't know who did it.
Wow.
You might want to eject the CD-ROM, right? But get it out of the machine. Captain Obvious sometimes. Sir?
Maybe quarantine because you don't know what else is on there.
Quarantine the file? Quarantine, or the machine?
Or the machine because you don't know.
Quarantine the machine, let's get it off the network. That's a very good idea. So now you've got leadership knocking on your door and they say, hey, somebody can't use their computer. What do we do? What do we tell them?
Give them a loaner.
Reimage the machine?
Here.
Very good. And remember, now you're talking to a VP. What does reimage mean? What do you tell them?
Just wiping the system and reinstalling a new one.
You're gonna wipe the system, reinstall a new one. That's a good way. I think as time goes on, leadership should start having more familiarity with that verbiage, right? Because there's nothing technical on what you said. But sometimes leadership will miss that. Go ahead.
Maybe in the future, don't use a DVD player unless verified.
Maybe in the future, don't use a DVD player. Absolutely. So from the IT team, what considerations would you want to consider?
Don't put in
Don't put files on DVDs. Maybe begin blocking the port of service. We quarantine the machine off the network. Employee training. Employee training. There we go. Absolutely, sir.
Make employee training short because they're too long and no one really goes through it.
Employee training. The comment was make them short. Don't make them too long because eyes glaze over.
Or maybe have some like USB or like DVD laying around and like whenever it's on
There we go. I like that. Okay. So maybe set your employees up for a little bit of set them up, right? Where the idea is if you lay some USBs around and when you plug them in, it comes up and says maybe you need some cyber training. It's actually a pretty good idea. I like that. Sir.
I guess like find alternatives for things, maybe like getting like customer.
Absolutely. So leadership will say, so can we find some alternative? How do we get these files to these individuals? If we're not using USBs, we're not using CDs. Absolutely. Maybe some file transfer. Absolutely. How do you get these on the machines? Absolutely. Anything else? Am I missing? when it comes to any of that. We identified it, maybe for the endpoint protection, maybe some antivirus, we begin to kind of make sure that this type of a file is inside the library that's gonna be blocking these on the machines. Aside from the external drives being blocked, aside from CD-ROMs, aside from employee training, maybe, send an email out to the departments. Hey, there's this, an infection that happened from a CD. Please, let's discontinue the use of CDs. Please see the IT manager or your supervisor.
Prevent installs of unknown files.
Yeah, let's not install unknown files. Yeah, that's
Maybe
100%, yes.
you ask the person who installed it where they got their CD from.
Ask the person that put the CD in, where did you get that from? Absolutely, yeah. So that's exactly it. That's kind of the encapsulated entire, event in itself. Again, we kind of had to break it down to kind of figure out how we investigate it, how do we find the forensics of the file. Where did the attack occur? We still didn't do too good at that, but there's learning in that. There's good things that come from maybe we shouldn't have deleted the file, right? Digital forensics would probably say not a good idea. Should we rename the file so it's not, no longer, so we can kind of diffuse it, but we've still got some artifacts, right? So, absolutely. Well, that was the exercise for today, guys. Thank you for everyone for attending. What else?
Before exiting, I will be scanning y'all's QR codes for them to sign in.
Perfect. Before you exit, please scan the QR code. I'm gonna get your question one moment. I'm gonna put on the screen, we have an eSports League that's coming up as well. I had it on the screen earlier. Thank you so much. Can I give a round of applause for my